Jiaoqiu is currently Acheron's best support, and he fares decently in dot teams, but if you put him anywhere else, it's very iffy. The same goes for Black Swan and Kafka, and I'm sure this pattern will be seen in every nihility unit moving forward. Limited harmonies on the other hand, such as Robin and Ruin Mei, have way more versatility, and you can plop them into most team comps, and there's still a significant increase in a lot of situations. Hello, my name is Kyte, and I covered a similar video detailing the biggest problems of the nihility path a couple of months ago. I won't be retracing my steps and covering ground that has already been tread. So let's talk about the state of nihility now, after the balancing circus that commenced after Ruin Mei's release. First up is Black Swan. She's a premium dot unit and provides consistent debuff application for those who need it. She's a great unit when paired up with Kafka, but she crumbles when you put her alongside any other archetype. Kafka's ability to reproc dots is very strong, and all the power budget of dot units lies solely on her ability to do so. Due to this, all upcoming dot units are balanced around Kafka, so they can't be too strong or else Kafka breaks the game retroactively. Her 21% Death Shred and 25% vulnerability application are just way too minuscule to amount to any meaningful utility. Black Swan's power budget is entirely put on her dot application, not her debuff application. This is a fine and a decent trade-off, but when she was released I wondered why can't they just shift her power budget to utility and make her dots slightly weaker, but her Death Shred and vulnerability to be stronger, so that Swan's not broken with Kafka and still usable in other teams. The reason why they won't make debuffs as strong as harmonies buffs is because of Acheron. She made me realize exactly what Hoyoverse plans to do with nihilities in the future. Acheron is an extremely strong unit that relies on 2 consistent debuffers at E0. I held my tongue and I didn't talk about Acheron for a long ass time because I really needed to deliberate on my opinions on her. I thought for a good while that Acheron would be the savior of nihility, but in fact, I think she has doomed debuffers to be niche and rarely ever used outside of her teams. My reasoning behind this is that the Acheron team's power budget is entirely stacked on Acheron's kit. All that she needs are teammates who will act as engines to apply debuffs. It doesn't really matter if the debuff her teammates apply are strong, it only matters to Acheron that they are applied in the first place. And as you can see, she is already quite strong despite Pela and Silverwolf only offering 100% Death Shred and 10% rest pen. From that you might ask, hey, isn't 100% Death Shred and 10% rest pen really strong? In which, yeah, it is pretty good on Acheron teams, but if you put Pela and Silverwolf in any other hyper carry teams, you're better off using harmonies in those cases. If we're comparing Pela Silverwolf to Tingyun Sparkle, there's really no contest. Now imagine a world where debuffers actually matched harmony units in terms of their debuffing power. If a unit had 50% Death Shred, 20% rest pen, and 20% vulnerability, you could flex them anywhere and they'd be a great generalist like Ruin Mei or Robin. However, if you put them in an Acheron team comp, her damage would skyrocket. This means that any future debuffer needs to be balanced around Acheron's damage numbers, or else she retroactively breaks the game. Doesn't that sound familiar? Yeah, that's right. It's the Kafka problem all over again. Any future nihility dot unit needs to be balanced around Kafka, and any future nihility debuffer needs to be balanced around Acheron. This means the 2 archetypes of nihility are essentially locked behind these units, and they are doomed to be niche forever, and can't shine as generalists like limited harmonies do. It's quite a cruel world out there. If you like my rambling, please consider liking this video and subscribing because I like to nerd out about these kinds of things. Thank you. So, how is Hoyoverse pushing the bounds with nihility? What's their plan? It was all revealed to me when Jiaoqiu's kit was changed multiple times over the course of his creation and release. They were testing around with Jiaoqiu and they almost gave him a mini heal, which would be an interesting way to keep nihility into the mix. A heal on a debuffer unit would certainly be interesting, as it probably would not be able to solo sustain, but it's a nice QOL for a path that really needs it. Of course, shortly after, they removed it, gave him a dot instead, and nerfed him a handful of times. Now, what do we end up with? Jiaoqiu has no heal, and I hear he has about a 74% vulnerability debuff, that he procs his debuffs frequently and has a lot of uptime on them. All of these are amazing for Acheron, and he matches Black Swan if he were to be used in the dot team. Acheron's best E0 comp is now Jiaoqiu and Silverwolf, while the dot teams have a side grade if you don't vibe with Black Swan. The funny thing is that Jiaoqiu still can't replace Ruin Mei on the dot team without suffering a significant damage decrease. Now, I've displayed all the facts for you here, and the upcoming section is merely my opinion. Okay, so harmonies are better in general use, but nihility still have their niche use cases. What's the problem here? The problem is that Hoyoverse has been pigeonholing themselves into a corner with their character design space, and if Kafka and Acheron are the kingpins of nihility, we're most likely going to be seeing less nihility releases in the future due to the difficulty in designing a new unit, or we'll start seeing hyper niche nihilities, and players being forced to consistently invest in new E0 characters instead of vertically investing eidolons into their supports. To be extra clear, Kafka's fine, and Acheron is monstrously strong, but it isn't about the strength of the character that I'm looking at here. It's about dots and debuffs having no place in teams that don't have a special gimmick like Dr. Ratio's follow-ups. It's about how Hoyoverse will never release a character with 20% respen, 50% def shred, and 50% vuln, but they will happily make a harmony character that buffs 50 damage percent, 1000 attack, 45% crit, and action forwards the whole team. Why? Watch my previous nihility video to find out. I made this video mainly to grieve the inevitable death of my favorite character Silverwolf, but I will hold out hope that we will get a tailored mono-quantum carry, where Silverwolf is the best in slot instead of Tingyun. Nihility isn't exactly doomed, but they're getting nicher and nicher by the day. My final message to you all is to pull for Robin E1 S1 and Ruin Mei E0. Harmonies run this game, and it's not even funny how strong they are. What are your opinions on nihility units? Let me know in the comments and I'll be sure to respond. That's it for me, my name is Kyte, and thanks for watching. See ya, peace.